Well, welcome to my silly life, she sings, and welcome to Sunday Sunrise for the 26th of June, 2022. Special days is the Monsignor's message this morning. I'm looking forward to it being a completely brand new show. Now, there have been previous shows entitled that, but those were older shows like last June 27th. Well, we'll be making that time travel, June 27th of last year, as well as an episode from 2020. Yeah, I'm doing a couple of time travels today to other Monsignor shows dealing with these special days and all the great tunes that are going to come out. Now, in the background, this is a great song also, but I must say, I'm going to switch over to WBAB 102.3, Long Island's only classic rock. The time is 6:50 a.m. The Monsignor, his show begins at 7 a.m. sharp. Now, I must just let everyone know, when I do this, there'll probably be a great talk show called Plugged Into Long Island already in progress, and then if there is, we'll find out what it is they're talking about. So switching now. Sometimes it takes a couple of clicks or something for it to happen, and if not, I'll just switch it back, or I'll play one of the other great tunes. Okay, then that's it. We're going to do that first. And in mobile mode, Charles Billingsley, we welcome once again to the program with Jesus, Only Jesus. Absolutely. Let's see if this works. Cottrell and O'Brien. That's what it's all going to be about. The show today, 6:54 a.m. And, trying it again to get to WBAB 102.3.
make a donation and maybe look up how to foster a dog or how to qualify to start the process of adopting through you. Is it a vet? Only vets can do it, correct?
So we have a program where we adopt out companions to first responders,
right.
And veterans, active military. So that's retired or not. We cover everything. We cover the neuter to spay, training. Everything is covered by us. But anyone who wants to just get involved with the organization, help a veteran, help a responder that's in need, I encourage them to give us a call. 6314-PAUSE. Mm-hmm. Or go to pauseofthewar.org. Reach out to us. We're a grassroots organization. We'd love to talk to you. We'd love to help, and we need the help. And, of course, the most important thing is we need donations.
Right.
So if you're an individual or a corporate sponsor or a small business that wants to get behind something we're doing, please reach out to us.
You have a mobile veterinary clinic. Can you just talk to us about that real quick?
We have the first of its kind exclusively for veterans and first responders. It's a mobile veterinary clinic that provides free services to those who generally can't afford these expensive procedures and vaccines. And we run the truck throughout the island. Okay. And we're looking for sponsors for that as well. Most people don't even realize how little some of these veterans are making. They're living on a very, very fixed income, and their animals, their world. So they don't have to be part of our program to receive those free services, but they're available here on Long Island.
So they could find the schedule of where that van is going to be on your website?
So they can find that schedule for the RV clinic on our website at pauseofthewar.org.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for joining me today, Robert. It's been wonderful learning about Pause of War, and I hope to have you on again because there's so much more to talk about. You were listening to Plugged into Long Island on 106.1 BLI and 102.3 WBAB.
For quality, affordability, and fun for the whole family.
All right, that's great. And I'll be right back with the Monsignor in a moment. Okay, they're not quite ready. It's exactly 7 a.m. My display, my radio display on my car Malibu says My Life / Billy Joel. So that's apparently the first song that the Monsignor will feature today. And the Monsignor, as am I, a huge fan of Billy Joel. A lot of great tunes. And he and Stephen Sheldon, huge fans of Billy Joel, and oftentimes they select one of his songs. And so this to me is a lot of fun. This is, I just basically live for this. This is fantastic. Hey, that's not the Monsignor, that's Billy. Okay, let me see. They could play the entire song, or they could segue out of the song about halfway through and just smoothly go right into the Monsignor's show. 7:01 a.m. That's a gap. Now I have to explain the gap, while I have a chance. And my display says, while you see a chance, Steve Winwood, that is the Monsignor's opening theme show song, and has been for more than 30 years there at WBAB 102.3. I knew they would not play a full My Life. I knew they wouldn't. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's crank it up for the Monsignor.
Astounding one of you. LongLiveLongIsland.org.
Welcome to another edition of Religion and Rock. I'm Monsignor Jim Vlaun. Here he is, our producer and our engineer, Stephen the Man Sheldon.
Hello there.
How's everything?
Everything is well.
Doing well?
Surprisingly well.
A lot of hubbub around this place.
Uh-oh.
around this radio place where we do this show.
What?
Nick Jonas was in this building.
Yeah.
Nick Jonas.
And I'm equally not impressed.
Well, you know what, though? He's,
But, you know,
he's a superstar
I'm not
today.
knocking anybody, but, you know.
We love the rock and roll, but I have respect for people doing good thing on the outside.
Yes.
He's doing a good thing, I think.
Yes.
Seems like a nice boy. I don't know. Young guy, but he's all right. A lot of buzzing.
Younger.
Whole place is a buzzing, that's for sure. Amazing. But, you know, it's interesting. In our lives, a lot of special days happen, right? You know, like you have these threshold birthdays where you turn 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, whatever it is.
Their anniversaries.
You have the graduation, you know, you have the anniversary of your wedding, a big anniversary. All of those things are big special days that we celebrate in lots of different ways, right? Lots of different traditions. Well, sometimes we make them up. Like I got one in October. Every year I do Oktoberfest.
Right.
And I have a big Oktoberfest dinner, traditional dress, food, everything you can imagine. Well, not traditional dress, like I'm not wearing
I could see you in a pair of lederhosen.
No, but we have like, you know, a little button or something you wear, you know, and we have it's a wonderful night. I've been doing this for 20-something years. It's amazing.
It's a new thing.
Special days are a good thing. Like we need special days in our lives because I think they propel us forward, and God is with us in the midst of all the special days of our lives. That's precisely what we're taking a look at on Religion and Rock, how God works through the special days of our lives to help us to get through the non-special ones, you know, to recognize maybe every day is special. So it's all about the special days. That's where we're kind of looking today on Religion and Rock. I know in my own life, you know, there's a lot of different special days where I say, you know, oh, I didn't even know this, or I forgot that. Not long ago, actually, we were cleaning out some stuff at my parents' house, and I found the invitation to my christening party.
Wow.
And, you know, so the day I was christened, I didn't know what day I was christened.
No.
It's kind of cool. So that's another day to
finding those things, you know, those hidden little gems.
Another day to celebrate, right? You know, take a look at your christening. I think that's a great day to celebrate, actually. And I was telling somebody about that, and they said, look up what Pope Francis says about that. And Pope Francis says that we should celebrate every year as much as we celebrate our birthday.
Yeah, it's kind of
a cool thing. It's when we began our relationship with God in a beautiful way. So there's something great about that. Like you have special days, I'm sure, on lots of different levels. We do. Is all these different things we look at. So that's what we're going to take a look at. As I said, we're going to look at the special days of our lives and, you know, where they play in, where they play out. Sometimes special days just happen as we live through life, you know. Like I have friends who hit the lottery.
Yeah, that's a big special day.
And the day they hit the lottery is a very special day. And you know what's a funny thing about it? They're not big lotto players.
No,
it wasn't a big thing that.
Yeah.
They had a quick pick and they hit straight on.
And boom.
$14 million. So that's the end of that. But actually, you know, it's not so changed. That's what's nice, that their lives remain the same, but they do remember that day every year. They kind of celebrate that day. I think there's a lot of things about that. I have in my phone lots of different special days. I have the day television was discovered. Now that's a big day for me. You know, I'm not a TV geek.
No, but it is an important day.
It is my career. It's my life.
Radio was done.
I have the day radio was discovered too in my phone too. Radio right here on Long Island where we do this show, believe it or not. So I think there's kind of different days that kind of appeal to us, different days that matter to us. You know, what are you doing about that? Do you know any special days to do with your career? You know, there's something about that. The day your factory or your job was founded, you know, your place of work. I don't know, all of those things kind of matter. And I think if we celebrate the special days, what happens is our life becomes linked to other things, and there's something good about that. So it's all about the special days. To start us off, here's Led Zeppelin, Kashmir.
All right, the Monsignor. That's fantastic. You know, this is very special for me. You know, any day could be special, and I get really excited about this. We could talk about special days in history. Now, when I do that time travel later, you'll find out that this great tune was selected on an earlier time, and I'm going to never mind.
have special vacations, special trips. That's what this is about. You know, in our lives, there are all kinds of special days. You know what's interesting? I think there are special food days Sheldon was talking to me about. I went online. You know what? August 28th, my birthday, National Banana Lovers Day. How do you like that? National Banana Lovers Day. I guess that's Not important, but there you go. Interesting though. I think we try to, mark certain days with certain things, and I think that's a good thing to do. Like, do you have certain traditions? They say, well, on, December 26th, we always have Chinese food the night after Christmas or something like that. And I think what happens is sometimes those days become important in a family, and they kind of get passed on. Even the meals you have, food is part of the special days, right? Like, what is the food you have for the different holidays? What are the things that you do? I have friends who make pierogies, absolutely delicious pierogies. They're obviously Polish people, and for the holidays, they make these pierogies, and every year I kind of bloodsuck and get some. I go over there and say, hey, you got any pierogies? Because I love that. Like, the special foods of the holidays help us to celebrate them, right? Like, a turkey, right? You couldn't say, well, we're making meatloaf this year. No, you make turkey, That's kind of a universal special day like that in the food department. But all our holidays do that too. And I think God calls us to celebrate with all we got, which means food too. And there's nothing wrong with that. So we celebrate both ends of it on a special day with the people, but also with the foods and the traditions of that day too, which matter a lot. Hey, here's Eric Clapton. This is called Hello, Old Friend.
Hello, old friend. Eric Clapton is always welcome on apartmentkaraoke.com, but I want to just kind of talk over the song a little bit there. Now, first of all, the Monsignor's birthday, I was looking around for a pen so I could write it down. Obviously, I just recorded it so I can go back and listen to it later, but still I wanted to write it down, right now before I, forgot to do that. But this is fantastic. I mean, to sing that great song there, that's why I sing along apartmentkaraoke.com. That's the spirit of the thing. That is a lot of fun. Now, as the sun beats down upon my face, that's happening right now as I sit here in the parking lot at the Two Heart Sunglasses Supermarket upstate, and the time is 7:16 a.m. I should probably explain that gap, and it's happened a couple of times now, and every time I did get to say it, I'm going to explain it, something else happens, and it never gets explained. That's just what you get whenever you go into iHeart, to pick up the streaming live feed. This is actually live, Now, last year, there was a problem. There absolutely was. Yes, Houston, I had a problem. And basically, I had to deal with it by using the downtime procedures if iHeart was down. And it was down at the time. There was an audio message from them saying, we are currently unavailable. And I was like, that's fine. I just went straight to the Monsignor's website, Religion&Rock.com. and took it from the very top of his page. Folks, you can go there and you can binge listen if you want to. Most recent show, special days, right at the top, and that's pretty much what I did and last year. So now I've kind of taken all the drama out of what's going to happen, but you will hear a cashmere, and yes, I might have busted out, and for lack of anything else to say, I may have made a joke about like a cashmere sweater, and then the fact that it's spelled completely different. One begins with a C, one begins with a K. Absolutely. And, Kashmir, Led Zeppelin, fine. Or whatever. Kathmandu, absolutely. With Bob Seger, that would be fine. Or Kokomo with the Beach Boys, any song there in the letter K. If it came up, I would be very happy to do it. But right now, this is more or less that time, the Monsignor show, so I'm not going to, turn it off and then, put on another song like I did last year when, again, iHeart unavailable. And so then I could do that. This is live Eric Clapton, and look what I'm doing. I'm running. Folks, again, hello, old friends. Eric Clapton, look it up on YouTube. You'll find it, and then enjoy. You heard that, right? That gap?
Those of you who've known known me for a lot of years know that I was only really in one parish, as a parish priest, and that was St. Mary's in East Islip. And the 8th graders from my first year there had a reunion last summer. So I don't know how many years it's been. Some of them you might have heard me talk about in the past, Carney, and there's a bunch of guys. But anyway, they all got together at somebody's house, and they invited me. And I'll tell you the truth, it was really beautiful. It was wonderful to go and to see these kids who are all 40, who I knew when they were in 7th and 8th grade, and stayed in touch on and off throughout the years. But just a beautiful thing to watch. Like, that was a day that I'll never forget, because it was just a very enjoyable time to spend that time with people who you had some time to spend with, which was awesome in our lives. Like, God puts people in our life, and then they sometimes go out, particularly if we're a teacher. We teach kids and we get close to them at some point or another with some. They move on. That's a beautiful gift. But when you bunk back into them and they say, you were my favorite teacher, or you made a difference in my life, or, in my case, they'll say, will you marry me, to my wife, or will you baptize our baby? I said, wow, what a privilege that is. It's just such a great gift. So, yeah, I think that's part of our lives, or the old friends of our life. We never want to lose them, and we always want to thank God for the gift of those people and who they are. Hey, here's Foreigner. This is called Feels Like the First Time.
Well, that's fantastic, fantastic tune by Foreigner. On my First Love album, I had a great Foreigner song. It's called Waiting for a Girl Like You. Yes, on my First Love album, Forfait, called Forfait ... I chose that one. And, I also had, for the first time, a great tune by Rod Stewart, on that album.
I would climb any mountain, across the stormy sea, if that's what it takes me, baby, to show how much you mean to me. And I guess it's just the woman in you that brings out the man in me. I know I can't help myself, you're all in the world
when we go back and you have that feeling like it's the first time once again, It's something beautiful about that. Now and then that happens in our lives, right? You go to a restaurant you loved when you were a kid, or you go to a place that was really great when you were a kid, and it kind of feels like that first time over once again. Here on Long Island, there's an institution called Nunley's Carousel, and it's an old-fashioned carousel like you see in a carnival, and it used to be in a little theme park that they had, and I remember going there as a kid all the time. Well, what they did is they stored it away for years and years, and actually I think Billy Joel had a lot to do with restoring it, and it's in a place now by a bunch of museums. They call it Museum Row on Long Island. I went back not long ago, and I just sat on a bench watching the carousel go by, but as I was watching it, it was like I was a little kid again on that carousel with my dad, and it was like an amazing little moment I had. It was just a split second, but I was like, wow, oh gee, I'm 5 years old again. Like I just went right back to it, to Nunley's Carousel. Amazing kind of experience, and that happens in our lives, doesn't it? We go to a ball game and you can't help but think back to the old days. Beautiful about that. And that's that recall, I think, that God gives us that's so beautiful, that gift of remembering. That remembering, can be a curse. I know it's a hard thing because sometimes we can't let go of things, but also it's a tremendous gift when you think about it, that ability to recall and relive and also re-experience some things that are really, really important in our lives. And I think that makes a huge difference in our life. Hey, here's John Fogerty. This is called Center Field.
All right, put me in, Coach. I'm ready to play. I'm ready to play center field for the New York Mets. That's right. Or, indeed, the Yankees, but I would prefer the Mets. Absolutely. So here we go. This is a great thing. Now, never mind. I was going to say that there's an association here. It'll come up in the past. When I go in the past, it'll come up.
And hold the song. The sun came out today. We're born again. There's new grass on the field. Round the third and headed for home. It's a brown-eyed handsome man. Anyone can understand the way I feel. Oh, put in cold. I'm ready to play. Day
coach. I'm ready to play today. Yep. Well, that's important in our lives. I think we need to be in the game of life, and that's part of celebrating special days. I think there's a temptation for us to just live in the past. And I like to have the things around from the old days. I know Sheldon's the same way. Like, he has a lot of stuff from his mom and stuff around. And, it's a beautiful thing to have that, but we don't live in the past. Like, you kind of live in the present with a great respect for tradition, and I think there's something beautiful about that. I was telling somebody the other day, like, I make my own limoncello. I put up tomatoes, as a lot of you know, every year. And somebody said to me, it's amazing that you can spend time doing that because you respect that tradition. And I think that's important. We had special kid doing those things, and I want to continue to do them now, and they're important to me to do, because when I do them, I kind of touch back to those days. Like, I can touch back to my grandmother doing it when I put up tomatoes in August with my friends. There's something great about that, and I think that's the back and forth that's such an important part of our life. So yeah, we got to get put in the game and play, because I think that's life. We don't live just in the past, we live in the present, and we celebrate the present every day of our lives. And here's the Rolling Stones. This is called Happy. Yeah, well, in our lives, what leads to happiness? Well, I think happiness is sort of a gift that we can choose to live every day of our lives if we want, but we got to find it. People search for happiness. They think it's about money. They think it's about power and prestige. It really is about the simple things of life, isn't it? What makes us happy are the people we spend time with, the people who you can just kind of kick your shoes off and say, let's just relax a little bit. The people who go to a ball game with, all of those simple things, of life that really make a huge difference. For me, the happiest days of my life are the days that I'm with friends, people I care about, out to dinner and maybe having a meal at somebody's house. All of those things matter so much to me, and I love to do that. Those are times where we can really get to know one another better. And, of course, God wants us to develop relationships that are healthy and happy, right? And we need that in our lives. So I think the special days, and maybe they're not the big, giant special days, but the everyday ones where we go to somebody's house or something like that makes a big, big difference. And I think those things help us to develop friendship, which is an important gift from God, really. Hey, I'm Monsignor Jim. You're listening to Religion and Rock. We're talking about the special days of our life. Here's Pink Floyd, Learning to Fly.
All right, we're taking off with Pink Floyd. It came up Learning to Fly, and I thought for sure I was going to jump into the great Tom Petty hit. And I was like, oh, then it's Pink Floyd then. Wow, well, I'll just have to change up then. I certainly will.
Into the distance, black, straight to the point of no turning back. Flight of fancy on the windward field, standing alone, my senses reel. Fatal attraction is holding me fast. How can I escape its irresistible grasp? Can't keep my eyes from the surveying sky. Tongue tied, twisted, just an earthbound within high. Eyes are forming on the tips of my wings. Unneeded warnings. I thought of everything. No navigator to find my way home. Unladen empty, turned to stone. Full intention, slowly to fly. Condition grounded, determined to try. Can't keep my eyes from the circling skies. Tongue tied and twisted, just an
God's creatures, but I don't know a lot of people who love Canadian geese. You know, they get a bum rap in this world, but they also, you know, mess up everything that they land on, and they hang around. But I do watch them in action sometimes, because I see them near a lake where I walk by all the time. And it's interesting because, you know, as the little babies get older, there comes a day when the babies are just in the lake and they're just crying because mom and dad are gone. You're on your own now, you know, and that's it. That's what they do. And they're kind of on their own to fend for themselves. That's the truth. Like the mother and the father take them so far, and I guess they're in the little Canadian geese iPhone, something pops up and says, "Get lost, leave them alone," and they just disappear, and that's it. The kids are just sitting there, and they gotta learn. I guess in our lives the same thing is true. God calls us to learn how to fly on our own at some point. So, you know, we have this ability to be connected, and that's a good thing, and to be dependent, that's a good thing. But interdependence becomes super important as we get older, right? So that we're not depending on people to do the simple things and the simple tasks, but that we're able to move beyond that. Otherwise, we remain children, and that's not good. Learning how to fly. So take a look around, because the Canadian geese, mom and dad, might not be around you, which means we got to learn how to fend for ourselves a little bit more. And that's a good thing that God calls us to help us to grow and become people who are interdependent with one another. Here's Peter Frampton. This is Show Me the Way.
Now, before Peter begins his tune, you know, Show Me the Way live, you know, I just want to say this about that. I love Canadian geese. Absolutely. And I had a great video featuring them at Lake Cayuga. Absolutely. And I also had a video before about, well, I guess it would be a mistake. I guess it would be a mistake if I mentioned about the story about the Canadian geese at Islip. So I'm not going to do it.
Shine.
rock and roll classic, Peter Frampton, Show Me the Way. In our lives, we need to be shown the way. That's where prayer starts, isn't it? Lord, give me some direction. Give me some idea here. What's the right thing to do? In our lives, we constantly pray for direction. There's something important about that. So, in our lives, we need to pray for that all the time, for the direction that's necessary to make a difference, for the direction that's necessary to make good decisions. Did you pray before you asked the person you married to marry you? I hope you did, because we need God's help in those things. And I think sometimes we get a little answer to that and say, yeah, you know what's the right thing? Yep, you're ready. About that in our hearts, and when we connect on that deep level, something beautiful happens. So, yeah, we need to be shown the way, and I think all the time that's something we need to pray about and think about and ask God's help about. And, when we do that, like I said, the special days occur because we've spent some time in reflection. So prayer is such a tremendous part of special days that we really need those moments from God to help us to kind of propel and make those days even more special, because we've been kind of pushed forward by God to do the right thing in our lives. Here's Van Halen. This is called Jump.
Someone who would really like this song, really love this song? Well, Dan Halen Hound. Dan Halen Hound is a guy out there on YouTube who was kind enough to post the song of the month this month, as voted on by you, the listener, called June Hymn. Fantastic song, but obviously, if the guy is Van Halen Hound, he would obviously love this one with Van Halen.
Just how you feel. You got to roll with the punches to get the world real. Can't you see me standing here? I got my back against the wrecking machine. I ain't the worst that you see. Can't you see what I mean?
I may as well make light mention of the fact that the June song of the month here at apartmentkaraoke.com, June Hymn, it's not by Van Halen. It's by the Decemberists. It just so happens that Van Halen Hound happens to like the Decemberists almost as much as he likes Van Halen. I'm assuming that, of course. I don't know for sure, but I figured otherwise he would be the Decemberist Hound and not the Van Halen Hound.
just about the plain leap of faith, right? That jump, taking the jump and saying, you know what, I'm going to go for it. And that's how a special day comes, right? Sometimes I say, like, I don't know whether I should take this job or not, but I'm going to take a shot at it. And all of a sudden, something beautiful happens. You know, I think that's sometimes what we have to do, be a real person who's reliant on God's help so that we can make good decisions, so that we can kind of make the leap that's necessary, the leap of faith to do the right thing in our lives. I don't know about you, but part of my decision-making process is two things, really. It's about prayer, and it's also about talking to people who matter to me about really important things. You know, say, well, what should I do here? Like, is this a good thing to do or not such a good thing to do? And sometimes I get direct answers, sometimes not so direct, you know, but that's okay in my life. I think that's been a good thing. Hopefully in your life too, when you make a big decision, you know, like, what do you do? I mean, I'm not just talking about buying a car, you know, and that's a big decision, but even like decisions that are going to affect you in life. Situations, how we react to people who disappoint us. Do we slay them? Do we listen? Do we have conversation? All of those things, I think, are decisions that we make when we have a sane head. And if we don't have a sane head, then find somebody who does to help us to calm down so we can make a good decision. So yeah, it's the leap of faith and also the not jumping to conclusions that can help special days to kind of be formed in the midst of our lives. It's all about the help of God, really, on all of that, huh? Here's Kansas. This is called Carry On My Wayward Son.
Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more. Once I rose above the noise and confusion, just to get a glimpse beyond this illusion. I was soaring ever higher, but I flew too high. Though my eyes could see, I still was a blind man. Though my mind could think, I still was a madman. I hear the voices when I'm dreaming. I can hear them say,
don't we? But God calls us home, and I think there's something important about that. Maybe there was a day of repentance for you. Maybe there was a day of turning it around. That's a great, great gift too. Certainly the people in the 12-step program celebrate their anniversary, right? A day when they kind of relied on God in a new way. Yeah, it's important in our lives to be able to see that. The waywardness that is ours can be just turned into God's hands and we can be found. So we need to kind of do that too. And maybe this is the week for that. Maybe it's the week to go back to church, say a prayer, recognize the power of God working in our lives because he's right there waiting every day. Here's Bad Company. This is called Rock and Roll Fantasy.
This is like a huge rock and roll fantasy. I'm like a jukebox hero or something like this. This is fantastic, and I'm really enjoying this show.
Here come the Jetsons, 1, 2, 3. It's all rock and roll fantasy. I love music and I love to see the crowd dancing in the house and singing out loud. Here come the dancers, one by one. Your mama's calling, but you're having fun. You'll find you dancing on in number 9. Put your hands together now and sing it out loud. It's alright, I'm not rock and roll fantasy. It's alright, I'm not rock and roll dream. Put up the spotlights, one and all, and let the feeling get down to your soul. The music's so loud you can hear the sound, reaching for the sky, turning up the ground. It's alright, I'm not a rock and roll fantasy. It's alright, I'm not a rock and roll dream. It's alright, I'm not a rock and roll fantasy. It's alright, I'm not a rock and roll
God blesses us immensely in our lives with so many special moments, and it's about us highlighting them and recognizing them and drinking them in and just enjoying them. Maybe there's one tomorrow. Maybe there's one coming up for you, a wedding or a baptism. Celebrate it, enjoy it, and recognize how God works in our life. Up out of the blue. You never know when a beautiful moment's going to happen. But if we're open to that, these special days happen, these special moments happen that propel us through life and help us to celebrate every single moment, God's great glory for us. You've been listening to Religion and Rock. It's hosted by me, Monsignor Jim Vlaun, and it's engineered and produced by the great special day man himself, Stephen, the birthday man, Chaldone. Have a wonderful week, everyone, and don't forget, say a prayer.
No one cares for Long Islanders like Catholic Health, delivering the highest quality and...
Okay, I'll go ahead and do as the Monsignor suggests there and say a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we'd like to thank you for the Monsignor show, Religion and Rock, and today's message on special days. Lord, we come to you with gratefulness in our heart for all those days in our lives that have been so special. And we thank you for the world that you have given to us in our stewardship. And Lord, thank you so much. And please, Lord, spread your grace and your love all across this world as we meet on this Sunday. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, I always love to see what WBAB is doing coming out of the Monsignor show. So I'm going to crank this up. We'll find out what kind of tune it is. Oh, isn't this special? Oh, this is WBAB. You're good, you.
She was a fast machine, she kept her order clean. She was the best damn woman that I've ever seen. She had a sightless eyes, telling me no lie, knocking me out with those American thighs, taking all in the shell, had me running for rare. She told me to come.
These were gnarly. Listen this weekend as we pop the cassettes into the boombox on Long Island. It's 102.3 WBAB, Long Island's only classic rock appetite for the 80s weekend.
Oh, that's a fantastic thing. An appetite. I have an appetite for the 80s. It's a hunger. It absolutely is. And then I bust into the great song with the late, great Eddie Money of Long Island, Take Me Home Tonight, featuring Ronnie Spector. That's fantastic. WBAB, they obviously have a sense of humor. They've played that one before. Now, last week it was a great tune. It was by Bon Jovi called Living on a Prayer, right out of the Monsignor show. And sometimes they played a great song by Journey called Don't Stop Believin'. Those seem to be their three favorite tunes for coming out of the Monsignor show. Now I'm going to go ahead and play again the June song of the month, as I mentioned during the Monsignor show, June Hymn. Again, not by Van Halen, by the Decemberists. Posted You Got It by Van Halen Hound. And again, it's a fantastic tune, so I'm going to crank it up.
Here's a hymn to welcome in the day, heralding a summer's early sway, and all the bulbs all coming in to begin. The thrush's bleeding battle with the wrens disrupts my reverie again. Pegging clothing on the line, training jasmine how to vine up the arbor to your door, and more. Standing on the landing with the war you shouldered all the night before. Once upon it, yellow bonnets, garland all along. You were waking, and day was breaking, a panoply of song. And summer comes to Springville Hill. A barony of ivy in the trees, expanding out its empire by degrees, and all the branches burst to bloom in the bloom. Heaven sent this cardinal maroon to decorate our living room. Once upon it, yellow bonnets, garland all along. You were waking, day was breaking, a panoply of song. Summer comes to Springville Hill.
That's fantastic. The Decemberists with June Hymn. When I return, we're going to do that time travel. That's right. Back in time to late June 2021 and the Monsignor show on that date. Special days in a moment. Okay, continuing with the program here on Sunday, the 26th of June 2022. I'm going to do the time travel now. Now, I had some internal debate as to whether to time travel back to late June of last year or go back to 2020. Both a couple of interesting programs. Today's program is probably, I'm approximating, it's probably about recording number 3408 on, the device that I'm using to record the program. A year ago, it was June 27th of 2021, recording 2527, and 2 years ago, June 28th of 2020, it was recording 1364. And on that day, I decided to begin the program just in my apartment where I am now, and to actually try to work with my Alexa device to actually do the program. And there was kind of some failures, but also some interesting conversation, particularly by the Monsignor on that day. And it kind of starts off with, me kind of waiting.
Good morning, everybody. This is David Williams. Welcome to Sunday Sunrise. Coming to you today from my apartment in upstate New York. Today's the 28th of June, 2020. My landlord's not home. His car's now in the driveway, so I thought today we just have Alexa do it, play the sound, if you will, from WBAB, Long Island's only classic rock. All you have to do is ask Alexa to play it, and we'll be joining the Monsignor in just a moment. Let's go ahead and check. Time is 6:58 a.m. The Monsignor show starts at 7 a.m. Alexa, play WBAB, Long Island's only classic rock.
Sorry, I don't know that.
You don't? Well, it's a radio station down on Long Island. Let me try it again. Alexa, play WBAB.
WBAB from TuneIn.
I'm just waiting on the Monsignor. Of course, the Rolling Stones here.
Alexa, volume 10. I'm just kidding. This is David Williams, 2022.
It could possibly be that they've already started. Normally, you wouldn't hear music before the Monsignor comes on. You'd hear a fine Long Island talk show called Plugged Into Long Island. And so maybe they started it a little early. Sometimes they do that. They start a little early. If so, we'll go back and pick it up from the beginning from Religion&Rock.com. Yeah, you can go to Religion&Rock.com and binge listen to as many of the Monsignor shows as you want, including today's show, which is entitled Special Days. Alexa, volume 7.
Listening to a partial rewind of Sunday Sunrise from June the 28th of 2020.
Rolling Stones, Waiting on a Friend. You know, there are times in our lives where friendship is so critical, and then we kind of move to a new area, we move to a new job, we go to a new school, and the friends kind of change, and that can be a very difficult transition. It's hard for us. I know we just went through a lot of graduations, and all of these young people are in that very same transition. Not everybody goes to the same school, not everybody stays in the same neighborhood, and that's a tough thing. But we ask God to help us through all of those transitions, and that's an important thing, you know. In all of our lives, even in our adult lives, those changes are not easy. I can think about it as a priest when I moved from one parish to another, even in my residence, from one residence to another. It's not easy because you kind of lose contact with a lot of people, and it's a tough thing sometimes. But part of our lives is that moving on, that moving through, and the gift of friendship that some remain for our entire life, some come in and come out throughout our lives, and all of them, though, regardless, are a gift from God, and we're called to be grateful constantly for the gift of that friendship, and our friendship with God, that is such an important relationship that carries us through it all. Hey, here's Jimmy Buffett. This is called Cheeseburger in Paradise. Alexa, Volume 3. Just experimenting here, folks, with Alexa. Very rarely do I do a Sunday Sunrise program from within my apartment, so it's hard to get the right. I want to hear Jimmy Buffett in the background, but yet talk over his song. I'm not familiar with this Cheeseburger song. Alexa, Volume 5. All right, that's fantastic. Anyway, thank you for joining us today here on Sunday Sunrise. For those of you that have perhaps never listened to the program, maybe we have new listeners. I have no idea about that, but I will say this. When we listen to the Monsignor show, when the Monsignor's talking, I'm quiet as a mouse. I don't say anything. But when he plays a song, a couple of things, I might sing the thing. I might join in as a sing-along. As I've explained before in the program, the only reason we call it apartment karaoke is an homage in honor of Mr. Corden. That's right, James Corden out there in Hollywood at CBS. He has a program called The Late Late Show. Perhaps many of you have heard of it or have seen it, Late, after Stephen Colbert's program, The Late Show, which, of course, is broadcast from the Ed Sullivan Theater in New York City. Then Mr. Corden comes on. He's got this thing called Carpool Karaoke, where, again, they sing songs, that's right, with the stars in his car. Now, I must say this about that. I still have not watched the video. My girlfriend, Faye, told me about it. Mr. Corden has put out a YouTube video where he describes how it's, quote, really done out there in Hollywood. It turns out it's not really driving around Los Angeles. It's like Hollywood magic, you know. They take the car, they lift it up onto the back of a truck. They've got like a blue screen screen and everything like that, and, you know, not really driving insane. I thought they were. Oh, the Monsignor.
To enjoy a cheeseburger in paradise. I think it's about being able to relax. It's being able to find the fun of being together with other people and the simplicity that comes from just gathering together. I think there's something great about that. Some of the best times I've ever had in my life are times that have not been planned. They're times that just happen. I'm sure the same thing's for you. You know, sometimes it's just that perfect moment, that perfect storm, if you will, where beautiful things occur, and we never forget how important those moments are. God has blessed us again and again, you know, and there's so many things to be grateful for. If you could think back to those moments, even in the midst of a work time, in the midst of a quarantine time, you know, we can still be grateful to God for those beautiful moments that have occurred. The times we had that cheesy little hamburger somewhere with friends, or sitting outside, or even a simple dinner at home, and recognizing how that meal connects us to God, right? And what do when we worship God? We have that sacred meal, so it really does connect in a very beautiful way. That's why we have the gift of the Eucharist, of Holy Communion, because it's that same link. It's a very intimate link where we receive the body and blood of our Lord, and then we kind of link in our own lives in a smaller way, in a lesser way around our tables to Him, and recognizing the power of that coming together at the table. Such an important thing. Hey, here's Squeeze, Black Coffee in Bed.
Hi, this is David Williams from 2022 with the current Sunday Sunrise program. I just wanted to make a correction to the record in terms of what I said in the past about how it's done out there, carpool karaoke-wise. I still never did watch the video, and be very clear about that, but I did see some still photos, and it was not as I described it, lifting his vehicle up onto the back of a truck and a blue screen and all that. It was actually, well, they put some... how do you describe it? Some wheels under his wheels, you know, all four of his wheels, and they towed the vehicle. And I don't want to blame Faye. It's my fault. I should have done my own research, but from the way she described it, it kind of sounded like they did it like that. And I was just saying, I don't do it like that here, folks. I don't have that kind of money for the special effects. Now back to myself from 2 years ago.
See, there he goes again. A great message, a great song, and it goes on for an hour. You know, so that's why I listen every Sunday to the Monsignor's program. And I don't cheat. I don't listen ahead of time. Now, the Monsignor's program is pre-recorded. Normally, he has it posted to the website, religionandrock.com, around Wednesday or Thursday, and I could pop in and listen to it, but that would take away the fun of waking up and listening to it live. WBAB 102.3, Long Island's only classic rock. Now, as I was saying, James Corden, I thought he was really riding around with the stars in his car. It turns out they do it in the studio, or as it's been explained to me, I haven't had the heart to watch the YouTube video. I could look it up, you know, in YouTube, but I believe my girlfriend Faye when she describes it, and so that's fine. Now, we, however, out here on the East Coast with apartment karaoke, oftentimes we do ride around and sing. The song is playing out over my car speakers, Malibu. It's got a fine speaker system, fine sound system, and it's safe. The phone that I'm talking into right now, LG G7 ThinQ, the smart Android phone from Motorola, provided to me by Verizon.
And still to this very day, no promotional fee paid. Again, a labor of love of apartment karaoke. Now, I will say the current phone recording this program is an LG Velvet phone that I call Black Velvet. When I got it, the guy said, "Mr. Williams, would you like a white one or a black one?" I said, "Black Velvet." If you
records the program, LG then sits in a little tissue box that I keep on my dashboard. That's his home. But when we're going mobile, that's what I call it. It's apartment karaoke in mobile mode if I'm driving and singing at the same time with these stars. And again, it's not karaoke music. Again, that's just an homage to what Mr. Corden calls his segment, carpool karaoke. And it's not karaoke. If it was karaoke, why then I would be singing alone, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to sing with these great artists and their bands and it's not karaoke music. Now, if you find folk out there, if you like karaoke, perhaps you go to the club or the bar. Well, probably not nowadays, given these extraordinary times when most bars and clubs across our country would be shuttered, and there would be no karaoke night. But they'll reopen, folks. They absolutely will. We're going to get through this together. But obviously, there were various clubs, I don't know where, but around the country that feature karaoke night. I've never done karaoke. I would not really feel comfortable doing it. No. Now my sister C, she lives down there on Long Island. She invited me home for the holidays, and I was happy to get the invitation. I certainly was. Last Thanksgiving, the Friday brunch after Thanksgiving, the day after, you understand, Christmas. And one of those occasions, I can't remember which, she called and said, Dave, why don't you come on over to the house and bring your karaoke equipment? It'll be fun. And I said, see, I have no karaoke equipment. You know, all I've got again is my phone, LG, as I've described. And of course, Malibu, my car. Amazing automobile. Actually, we'll be going to Malibu, my car, after the Monsignor finishes today, because we're going to cycle back to the beginning of the show again, going to religionandrock.com and playing it from the very beginning, which typically starts with a great song, a theme song, the Monsignors by Steve Winwood. Yes, called When You See a Chance, and definitely you guys have heard this song before. And we know that we started today's program in the middle of a song called Waiting on a Friend by the Rolling Stones. Now, sometimes we do a theme of different songs that speak of waiting. Waiting in the Weeds by the Eagles, The Waiting, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and of course, the Rolling Stones song Waiting on a Friend. There's others.
Absolutely, there's many others. I would pop in here from 2 years later and make the point of mentioning that great tune by the Eagles from their album Long Road Out of Eden. Waiting in the Weeds was my song of the month in August of 2020. And now back to June of 2020.
Definitely. If you wanted to, you could do a little theme show of songs that talk about friendship and friends and include Waiting on a Friend, Friends by Led Zeppelin, and Andrew Gold's song. That's right, Andrew Gold's song, which was the theme of a great NBC sitcom called The Golden Girls. Thank you for being a friend, okay? Now, Andrew Gold, they used another vocalist for the theme song on the television program on NBC, but that's where they got it from, was Mr. Gold. Fantastic song. And we've sung it here before on the program. We absolutely have. And the other Andrew Gold song, sometimes we say, Lonely Boy. Fantastic song. Oh, what a lonely boy. And it's a great song, so I would definitely sing that one with Andrew Gold. And, well, there's lots of great artists out there. I was just reading a story this morning when I got up, around 6:30, about some 45 minutes ago. I'm now having my first cup of coffee. Folks, give me time to build up here, but I was reading a great story provided by Esquire magazine on Neil Young, who is welcome to this program anytime. Absolutely, Neil Young. His song, the Monsignor.
I'm a bit of a coffee snob. You know, I love coffee, and I love to have a cup of coffee in the morning. I don't drink it all day, but I have it in the morning, and sometimes I'll have a decaf or something, or a tea at night, but that's about it. But there's something about the lounging that is connected with coffee, isn't it? And this whole society that we live in has kind of built a whole business world around lounging with coffee. And that's when you see these different coffee houses and local ones and some of the more famous, you know, international chains. All of that comes from that ability and desire to be with one another, to sit and find a healthy place to talk and share. There's something important about that in our lives. You know, we need to find those places where we can share with others, where we can live life with others and recognize that power of living life. You see, you have to have some input in order to have output, right? To have sharing. And so the input, I think, is prayer. The input is, you know, our going to church. those things are really important, then the output is sharing with other people about life and recognizing the power of coming together and how that changes our life for good. So we need those coffee times with people, but we also need those worship times and those personal prayer times where we fill in, the blanks, where we kind of get ourselves excited so that we can share with others. Hey, here's Sheryl Crow, All I Want to Be.
Thank you, Monsignor Jim Vlaun. So, yeah, what I was saying was, when the Monsignor speaks, I'm quiet as a mouse. And then, well, I join in whatever song is playing, or I talk over the song. I definitely do.
And again, I just want to point out that I do that because it makes me happy. Absolutely. Also a great song by Sheryl Crow came up last week on the program, and that is what kind of set me up when the Monsignor was talking about actually going back in time, seeing old friends, and yeah, I name dropped John Glenn High School class of 81. Now back 2 years ago.
I've been practicing my speech patterns. Alexa, volume 3. And no disrespect intended to Ms. Crow. Absolutely not. Anyway, I was talking about Neil Young and reading an article this morning in Esquire magazine, and my intention is to read it in full after the Monsignor's program is over. At some point, obviously, we're going to wait for the Monsignor show to be over. And it's about the Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young song, Ohio, and which spoke to, it was 1970. There was a shooting at Kent University, and he's the guy, Neil Young, came in and wrote a song like just about right around that same time. And he played it, I think, for David Crosby. David Crosby gets on the phone to Graham Nash. He says, "You got to book time in the recording studio right now. We got to do this thing right now." And they went down and got it done. And yeah, sometimes we sing songs from that particular album. Our House is a very, very, very fine house with 2 cats in the yard. Life used to be so hard. Now everything is easy because of you. Absolutely. I almost cut my hair. Yeah, it happened just the other day. It was getting kind of long. I guess you could have said it wasn't my way, but I didn't. And I wonder why. I guess I felt like letting my freak flag fly. Absolutely. I actually need a haircut. During the coronavirus pandemic, hair places, salons, barbershops, etc., shuttered. The last time I had a haircut, I gave it to myself. Yeah, I cut my own hair. I did. I had no choice. So Faye, my girlfriend, she said, "Looks like you did a pretty good job." I was Skyping with my daughter over there in England. I don't tell you where in England my daughter is, but I was talking to her about it, and she said, "How'd you do the back?" And I said, "Well, with some difficulty, but I got it done, and sometimes that's what you got to do. You just got to get it done. Whatever it is that you're doing, obviously, I don't have any knowledge of that. I do not. But there's so many things we're going to be talking about and sharing here at apartmentkaraoke.com. That's what I like doing, is sharing things that, come across my way that I can say, oh, that's an interesting story. I'd like to pass that along, like Ohio, and talking about protests. Now, another story came to me today, a very sad story from California, another shooting in our nation. And what are we going to do about that? Something needs to be done, and we can't just continue to close our eyes to all the shootings that we've seen in our nation. This one was at a Walmart distribution center, so I know about it. I get a news feed to my phone, as maybe you do. Many fine Americans have a smartphone, and stories come in all the time. Most recently, I signed up with the New York Times. Now I get a morning briefing from a fellow by the name of David Leonhardt. Great guy. Works over there at New York Times. And if I had the time, I'd read to you his initial description of who he is and what the morning report is with the New York Times. I certainly would. I say real news. I absolutely do. Now, those of you that listen to the program, you know also that I say that I'm running for the presidency of the United States. And if you are, congratulations on your candidacy. You know, what do you stand for? Why do you want to be president? And what are you standing for this November? And what's the name of your party? Where did you announce? And when was it? The Monsignor.
All I want to do is have some fun, right? There were times in our lives.
Alexa,
listen, life.
Volume 6.
And that's the truth of the matter. Can we recognize, though, the value of hard work? Can we recognize the value of the things that we must do that maybe aren't as much fun, but they're sort of the broccoli of life? You know, I always think about that when I was a kid. Broccoli wasn't my favorite thing to eat, but when it was on the plate, generally speaking, I eat the broccoli first, you know? And I think there's something about that to recognize in our lives. And we all have things we have to do that we don't necessarily like, and it can't just be what I want to do, but they're the things that I must do for the support of my family, for what's right in this world, for living a life that's valiant and ethics-centered. All of that stuff is about living a moral life. And that's part of the challenge for you and for me, to recognize that it just can't be fun and whatever. It has to be something a little deeper than that. And that's what takes us to holiness and to ultimately to happiness, too. Hey, here's Heart. This is called Dog and the Butterfly.
You're listening to a rewind, again, from June of 2020. And you heard me say there of my candidacy running as your president. Didn't win, though. Didn't win. Little wink of the eye to Denzel Washington, his role in the film Glory. And now, will I run again in 2024? I don't know. I'm still reeling from the last defeat. I haven't made up my mind. I do admit, though, the taste is a little in my mouth, but I might wash my mouth. I don't know. Back to myself in the past.
Alexa, Volume 4. And no disrespect to Hart. It's a fantastic band. And, however, the criteria is that I have to know the song reasonably well to join in the singing of it. Otherwise, I'm going to do a talkover and talk about things that are important to me, like my candidacy for the presidency of the United States. And even though it's Sunday, sometimes you have to, engage. And I'd rather not. Sunday, a day of rest, a day of meditation, And, but I'm sure that the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, and the former Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden, as well as all the other independents out there, are sometimes doing things related to their candidacies on a Sunday. Now, as I was mentioning before, I had asked the question, are you running for the presidency of the United States? And if so, that's fantastic. It's a free country. All you have to be is the correct age and having been born in this country. And I've got my birth certificate. If the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, wishes to challenge the authenticity of my place of birth, as he did former President Barack Obama, who, by the way, folks, was born in Hawaii. That's just one of the president's little, conspiracy tales that he makes up. Former President of the United States, Barack Obama, presented the evidence of its birth in Hawaii. And that's fine. It's a fine state. I've always wanted to go. Never have gone. Recently, this past year, H&R went. Now, for those of you that don't listen to the program, H&R, no, that's not the tax firm. That's my sister and brother-in-law. They live down in Tennessee. I love them very much. But H&R went. She sent me pictures of Hawaii. And someday maybe I'll go. But here's the thing. Barack Obama was born there. And he provided the birth certificate. I was born, here, in the state of New York. Not here, upstate. I was born on Long Island in Smithtown. Yeah, Smithtown, New York. And I do have the birth certificate available. If the president would wish to challenge that, I'll be more than happy to share it with the American people. Right? Definitely will. Now, the same too holds with my taxes. I'd be happy to share with the American people my taxes once the president shares with the American people his taxes. Now, we haven't seen his taxes. Unlike all presidents in the modern age and all presidential candidates in the modern age, the president, for reasons that only he knows, holding back, not sharing his taxes with the American people. And what's in them? Well, recently they've become the target of certain courts downstate, folks, that's right, down in New York City, they want to see the president's taxes. And it's been brought to court. We still don't have an answer on that. Are we going to get a chance to see the president's taxes before the November election? I'm interested. I know that my other opponent, the fine former Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden, has already provided his taxes to the American people. Now, if I'm wrong about that, I'm sure someone will call me incorrect. But as far as I know, the former Vice President has already provided his taxes before the American people, and President Donald J. Trump has not. If I'm wrong, give me a call, and I'll retract that statement. And then I would ask Joe Biden, where are his taxes? My number is 573-680-0356. Be happy to hear from you. So anyway, of course, there's those two gentlemen, myself and many others, independents. There's nothing wrong with an independent candidacy. Now, I realize Republicans and Democrats have the whole situation locked up. Every 4 years you get one or the other. Republican, Democrat, Democrat, Republican, vanilla, chocolate, chocolate, vanilla, you know. How about Rocky Road every once in a while? Maybe strawberry, some other flavor. Mint chocolate chip, you know, and there's other independent candidates out there. All you got to do is Google it, which I have previously done. Now, I don't remember all their names. There's no way possible. I used to say that when, you know, the Democratic field was loaded with candidates. Oh, the Monsignor.
I think about relaxing and spending some time.
That's the Volume 5.
I like that song. We play it about once a year, maybe once every other year. But, you know, it reminds me of those times, too, of just kind of the peacefulness of life.
Volume 6.
Spending some time outside. I can remember one time, now this sounds crazy, right? Way back in college, when I was in the college seminary, going to Central Park and getting sandwiches and just sitting in Central Park and having a sandwich. Isn't that something? And that I remember. I mean, I've done so many things since, but I can remember being with a couple of friends. There were like 3 or 4 of us, and we sat down and we had some soda and we had some sandwiches, and it was a beautiful, great afternoon in the summertime in Central Park, New York. You know, those things we never forget, and I think that's how God comes to us sometimes, not always in the big giant moments, but in the gentle breezes. It even says that in the Bible. You know, it's not in the big storm sometimes. Sometimes it's the gentle breeze, and that's how God is present to us, making the simplest things special things. And there's something very important about recognizing that and thanking God for that. Hey, I'm Monsignor Jim. You're listening to Religion and Rock. We're talking about the special days of our lives. Here's Tom Petty. It's good to be king.
Alexa, Volume 3. Thank you. And again, no disrespect to the great late Tom Petty. You know, recently we talked about Mr. Petty. He's been in the news. The estate of Tom Petty has asked that the president not use his song, I Won't Back Down. Absolutely. Mr. Ben Montange of the Heartbreakers, a close former associate of Mr. Petty's, and fine musician. We've read stories about Mr. Tench before. And he said he would prefer that the president not even whistle the tune to any of their songs at all. Now, we have not been asked to cease and desist, so I would definitely sing I Won't Back Down with Tom Petty. Now, that was not a Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers song, but as we've read from Genius.com, members of the band still, however, worked in the studio on the song with Mr. Petty, helping him with that solo effort. They certainly did. Now, The Waiting, that is a full Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers song, and we bust into it all the time. So again, in a theme, if we're going to do a theme about waiting and stuff like that, and I do include the Eagles. That's my favorite Eagles song on their album Long Road Out of Eden, you know, Waiting in the Weeds. And we waited and waited on the Eagles. We sure did. And folks, they never broke up. They just took a 14-year vacation. That's what the late, great Glenn Frey said on the album Hell Freezes Over, right before singing the great song Tequila Sunrise. Certainly did. And it wasn't really a vacation per se. It was more a hiatus allowed.
Yeah, David Williams of the past, they were doing other things during those 14 years. And again, this all ties in with a recent story. In jest, you understand. It was the artist Mojo Nixon that basically, in his song, which I believe was entitled Don Henley Must Die. Folks, he didn't mean it. Mojo didn't mean it, Don Henley. He got up on stage and sang it with Mojo Nixon. This is going way back. well, into the 90s, like 1992. I apologize to David Williams of the past. Please continue, sir.
Time for people in the band to either work on their solo careers, spend time with family, do other projects. And absolutely. And yes, I've heard Mr. Henley talk about it, Don Henley. He was being interviewed expertly by Billy Joel on stage, Y92. That's right. There's a thing out there on YouTube. I think it's Y92. Billy Joel interviewing Don Henley of the Eagles. And Mr. Henley talked about that hiatus. He certainly did. And other things. For example, the Walden Project. Now, folks, that's up in Massachusetts, and it's a long digression for me to talk about it, so I wouldn't necessarily do it except to say that Don Henley has been supportive of that particular project, very much so. And it's a cool thing. Now, I have not heard the reaction from the Trump campaign on this thing about I won't back down. Are they going to do it or not? Stop doing it. I mean, as far as I understand, a cease and desist order has been filed by the estate, the Tom Petty estate, and I don't know the answer to whether or not they're going to cease. Furthermore, Mr. Neil Young has asked that the president stop using his song "Rockin' in the Free World" at his Trump rallies. Absolutely. Now, I personally have never sung a "Rockin' in the Free World" with Mr. Young, but there's nothing stopping me from doing so. In fact, I do other Neil Young songs. "Heart of Gold," absolutely, yes. "Long May You Run," the great song, which my car Malibu, that's Malibu's song. And Malibu, a fine car. And "Long May She Run," absolutely, I'm hoping.
Yeah, Malibu. Many more miles since, obviously, 2 years ago, but I'm opening up my window, looking at it right now, and rain clouds and wind getting ready to come in. Very humid out there. Expecting a big storm. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that. Throwing some of that into the mix as well, and doing very, very well. Malibu and "Long May She Run," and other Neil Young tunes like "After the Gold Rush." Recently told the story on the program how Neil got the idea from a guy by the name of Dean Stockwell in a film script of that same name, like a sci-fi kind of film, you know. Absolutely. And so that's kind of cool. Now, speaking of that, wow, the rain. Yeah, I'm out on the deck now, you know. Yeah, Bill Shatner, this new thing, you know. I was at number 6 today in Netflix, you know, and explaining things like, well, pyramids out there, you know, in Egypt, and other things, scary things, evil things. And Bill's just saying, you know, let's take a look. And then he takes you on these travels. One of those travels was like to south of Tokyo, where there's this woods. And if you go in that woods, it's like completely silenced. They say people go there to kill themselves. And it's a place that you really want to stay away from. I'm like, well, the chances of me ending up in Japan, south of Tokyo, in those woods are pretty remote. So I'm not worried about it. But I'm going to take you back again 2 years ago and whatever.
My car runs long time. I definitely am. And I'm sure that you too, if you have an automobile, that you hope your car runs a long time. I know you love your car, whoever you are. I see you out there on the weekends washing it, waxing it, vacuuming it, taking care of your car, getting those required oil changes, keeping up with the maintenance of your vehicle, and sometimes buying new tires, yes, new shoes for your car. Folks, if you need new shoes for your car, you could do a lot worse than go to Firestone at Sunshine Square in Medford on 101, directly across from Friendly's. While you're there, stop on over Friendly's, get an ice cream sundae if you choose, or a full meal. That's right, they do both. They definitely do. Now, I will say this about that. The last time I was down there, they were available for carry-out only in these challenging times, you understand. The restaurant not open, but I certainly saw people picking up food at Friendly's, and it's a wonderful thing. It definitely is. Now, the thing of it is, we're just kind of waiting. The Monsignor's program, well, is this about an hour? Sunday sunrise, it goes a little longer typically, you know, and how long, I don't know. I do not know the answer to that. It's just kind of a spontaneous thing. The Monsignor. Alexa, volume 6.
tremendous amount of responsibility, and there's something very important about recognizing that. All of us in our lives have responsibility, and it's about using that responsibility, using the authority perhaps that we may have in a certain circumstance well. So if you're a teacher or you're a coach, you're a mom, you're a dad, or even if you're a son or daughter, in that kind of life that we lead, that we've been given, we're called to do that responsibly. So yeah, it's about being a king in a responsible way and recognizing that leadership is a tremendous gift. It's a gift from God, and we're called to use it well. So it's not about how important I am, it's about how I can serve. And it's a king who serves that we're called to imitate. And that's part of the challenge for you and for me, and something that we have to kind of take a look at every single day in our lives. But here's one of my favorite songs of all time. This is the Beatles, A Day in the Life. Alexa, volume 10.
And myself from the future, pause. Yeah, I'm pausing that. Now, the Beatles, fantastic song, Day in the Life, from Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Love the Beatles. I have a lot of great Beatles stories, and I've talked a lot about them, but I must say this. If this gets turned into a YouTube video, what you're about to hear never, ever happened. Moreover, I happen to know from this particular recording of A Day in the Life from, again, June the 28th of 2020, that there's going to be a technical problem. And again, it appears to me, to my ear, that one of the channels was lost in the stereo output. And I don't believe that it was the Alexa device that I have. And obviously Malibu had nothing to do with it. You'll recall at that time I was still sitting in my apartment as I am now. So let's go back to it. And I'll probably end up trimming this out or having the YouTube content ID trim it out for me. And so you may not hear anything after this. Who sang the Now I am in the Brown running camp. I'm clearly in that camp. There are others in the Paul McCartney camp that they say it was Paul. It could only have been Paul that sang the ah. Absolutely. But I must say I agree with David Crosby. David, an expert on music, he said that was John. It was clearly John. It wasn't Paul, wasn't Ringo, it wasn't George. It was clearly John sang the ah and back to the ah. Paul was asked by the music media to respond, and he said, well, we were all there, we were all there, actually, it was a long time ago, but we were all there.
Looks like they're missing one of the channels, couldn't even hear John Lennon on that second verse. Must be a technical issue.
The longest chord in rock and roll. Yeah, that's for sure. Well, anyway, a day in the life is a good one for us because I think it's good to think about that in our lives. A lot of our life is every day, right? A lot of our day is getting up and brush our teeth, comb our hair, and go to work and come home. Yeah, but can we find God in the midst of all of that? Can we make those days special days and recognize the power of every single day? It's sort of like living each day as if it was our last. Now, you don't want to think like that, live like that every day because it's sort of cataclysmic sometimes, right? But recognizing that God is with us is such an important thing. Recognizing that the small actions that we do, the kindnesses that we perform on the road or at work or in school, it all adds up. It all makes a difference. Our kind emails, our kind phone calls, it all adds up. And that's part of living every day in the life in God's presence and recognizing that. And that's the challenge. That's really an art. And if we can pray about that every day and ask God to help us, really we can live that way. And you begin to see meaning in life that perhaps we haven't seen before. So that's sort of the challenge for you and for me, to live every day in the life, if you will, knowing that God's with us and calling us to use our gifts. Hey, here's Alanis Morissette. It's called Head Over Feet.
I had no choice.
Alexa, Volume 4. And again, no disrespect to Ms. Morissette, absolutely fantastic artist. But the thing is, I haven't practiced a head over feet, so I wouldn't do it. I would not. I was just pointing out the thing about Day in a Life, the great Beatles song, where it just seemed like to me, now Alexa is a fine, no, Alexa, you continue. I'm sorry, when you say her name, she kind of stops, and then she's got this light on the top, and it spins around and round and round, and she's waiting to see what it is that you want. So if I ever say her name, well, it stops the background music now. The device, I'll just call her the device, That way she won't know I'm talking about her. The device is not a stereo system, but there are those out there now. Back in the day, very popular. You'd buy FM stereo or, a stereo receiver. And, different parts of the band's song were directed to different speakers, different channels, if you will. And it appeared that the particular version that they played there on the program, A Day in the Life, it wasn't set up to be properly broadcast, because otherwise I would have heard, John Lennon on that last verse that he sung. And so, well, that's fine, no biggie. What we can do, however, is after the Monsignor's done with this program again, his show goes on for an hour, and I'm sure the Monsignor could do a 2-hour show. He and Stephen Sheldon, his producer, if that's what they wanted to do. And if BAB would allow it, they could be granted a 2-hour show. It'd be a piece of cake for the Monsignor. This guy, once you get him going, he could probably do a 3 or 4 hour show very easily. If that's what the Monsignor wanted. Now, if the Monsignor doesn't want to do that kind of a show, he shouldn't have to. He definitely should not have to. I might, typically because I want to, If I didn't want to do this show, if I didn't love doing this thing, I wouldn't do it. I would not waste my time I definitely would not. Now, I talked about this in some extent on my Labor Day show, which, of course, I mentioned it's a labor of love. It's a labor of love. We have things that we do in our life that we have to do to make money, to go out and certainly pay the bills, pay your rent, pay your car insurance, buy some food, do the things that you need, whatever those things are. I don't know what they are, obviously. Don't know who you are listening. I have no way of tracking that. I don't sit around trying to figure out who's listening and who's not listening. Now, my girlfriend, Faye, she says that there are people that listen. And I believe my girlfriend, Faye. I definitely do. And she believes in me. And sometimes, yes, I would pop in with the great Kenny Rogers song at that particular point. She believes in me, not in the middle of the Monsignor show, however. You see the difference? I do see the difference. David Williams of the past. I just wanted to just point out we're having one heck of a storm here in 2022. And, yeah, I'm liking that as a background, for like kind of top over the recording like that. I think that's just fine. So I'm looking forward to this. If this was like a regular program, like Extreme Overtime, which yesterday, a fine show, already posted to my songboard, and you asked, how do you get that? I'm glad you asked, my fine listener. It's www.apartment-karaoke.com. And then you click on the link to the songboard. And as it says there, sing a song, sing out loud to last your whole life long. Absolutely. And then the most recent shows at the very top, which right now is the Extreme Overtime show for yesterday's date, the 27th of June, 2020, in which I drove to Pennsylvania and saw my mom. And no, my mom's not included in it. It's just the drive there and the drive back and stuff like that, absolutely. And it was very, very nice to see my mom, and it was a special day. The Monsignor's talking about special days. To me, that's a special day. And enjoyed it very much. Now, we were limited because of the coronavirus pandemic. Oh, the Monsignor.
Geez, my namesake.
Alexa,
there's a great
Volume 7.
What good is to have faith if you don't have action? How important it is that we put our faith into action. And we can't just have action without faith, because then there's no foundation, there's no rootedness. And so both of those things are important. Heads and hearts and hands and feet all have to kind of work together. So that's part of our lives too. Yeah, prayer is so important, and prayer is that place where we get recharged. But we got to put, if you will, the pedal to the metal, right? We have to be able to get out there and do some good things for other people and use our gifts to make a difference. So that's part of the challenge for you and for me, to use our gifts always to serve God in some way. And even in the talents that we have, if you're a painter, a plumber, if you're a carpenter, then you're better off than I am. And how can you volunteer that in such a way that it makes somebody else's life good? And when we do that, you feel good because you know you're doing God's work. And we're also kind of doing that head and heart work that James talks about in his letter in the Bible. Hey, here's Stevie Ray Vaughan. This is called Change It.
I'm just popping in here just to say, Stevie Ray Vaughan, fantastic. Monsignor had him on the show last week with a great tune, Pride and Joy, and it was my pride to join in with him. Alexa, Volume 4. Yeah, I was talking about my mom. Yeah, absolutely. She's doing well. And, well, the thing of it is, with the coronavirus pandemic in place, you can only really meet for a brief time. My sister, who lives in the state of Pennsylvania, she said it might only be about 15 minutes, but it's better than nothing. And I agree with my sister. It is better than nothing. And so that's why I drove down there. Not a very long drive. It's less than 100 miles. And I enjoyed the drive there and back again. I absolutely did. Now, due to the coronavirus pandemic, you only get about that much time, 15 minutes, and you have to sit outside the door. You're not allowed in, and my mom is not allowed out past a certain point outside the door. In other words, I couldn't, put my mom into my car and drive off somewhere like for lunch or something. Maybe, I don't know, Cooper's Seafood House. Couldn't do it because here's what would happen, as explained to me by my sister. If you did that, my mom would then be required to go into self-quarantine for 14 days. And, well, I don't want anyone to have to be forced into a situation like that where they have to, like, be alone for 14 days in a self-quarantine situation. So we just sat there and we talked and caught up. And she told me things about, stuff going on in our family. I told her some things. She asked me, how's your daughter? How's your son? Things like that. And how's your job? And yes, and I reminded her once again where I was. Now, I don't mention here on the program exactly what town I'm in, but my mom knows. She certainly does. I having told her yesterday and before as well. Absolutely. And my family. I don't have any brothers born of my mom, but I have brothers out there. I use a term that comes to me from CeeLo Green. CeeLo was over at Daryl's house. Folks, if you haven't gone over to Daryl's house, it's in YouTube. Daryl's house, it's a program. CeeLo Green was on the program. They did a great Hall & Oates song called I Can't Go For That, but I can go for that. I've been a huge Hall & Oates fan for decades. Anyway, they did a fine job on the song. CeeLo Green mentioned brother from another mother, and therefore I have brothers from another mother. For example, my brother Ann. Now, my brother Ann, he's a member of Real Help for Dave, and sometimes he posts stuff to it that are very inspirational. For example, he posted a video, Brandon Bays. Brandon Bays is a motivational speaker who spoke of the power of love, which is a story that came to her from the records of Albert Einstein, his papers. He wrote a letter to his daughter Liesel, where he explained how E equals MC squared, his famous equation, can be converted to talk about the power of love and how to bring people together. And it has to do with the speed of light and being squared. And absolutely, Faye and I watched it together down by the Great South Bay on Long Island. And we enjoyed it, and I responded back to the group, Real Help for Dave. Folks, if you want to be a member of Real Help for Dave or Help for Dave, up to Monsignor.
Ability to adapt, that ability to recreate ourselves. And so we're not stuck.
Alexa, volume 7.
Wrong on us entire lives. We're not stuck with our sins our whole life. God forgives us our sins. And the same thing's true about this world, Sometimes we need a fresh start. We need to be able to go to a new place and maybe not be known for our history and recognize that, we have this new opportunity to be discovered. Sometimes, it'll be amazing. You'll have friends and they'll discover something about you that you really didn't know you had. They'll say, you're a great listener. Gee, you're so much fun to be with. You're so interesting. You're so smart. You're so funny. All those things, those gifts from God, we might not have recognized them before, but then when we recognize them, they're given to us through this mirror of people in our lives, and all of a sudden we discover that it's a beautiful gift. It kind of changes our own vision of ourselves. Hopefully your vision of yourself has changed over the decades. I know mine has, You get to know yourself better in time, and that's a gift from God too. It's something that calls us to joy and a certain specialness when we recognize that as well. Hey, in Chicago, this is called Feeling Stronger Every Day.
Alexa, volume 10.
Alright, so I must have been feeling like I was probably going to Chicago, great song, Feeling Stronger Every Day. That's a very difficult ask on my part, it's legendary. And in my apartment, I thought I handled the show mostly pretty well, just like my review is so far from what I heard. To me, that would be very hard for me to do now, and definitely, but of course my landlord's home now, and then he was not, and so that's a huge difference, but still, in Malibu, my car, that would be the way that should be this thing, but I'm just going to crank it up, and I think there's still going to be the audio problem again. I'm sorry about that. Can't change it.
Chicago, feeling stronger every day. That's part of life too, that every day sort of changes and develops. And hopefully as life goes on, even with the struggles, even with the downfalls, even with, the uphill battles sometimes, that every day we feel a little bit stronger. Every day we feel a little bit closer to God, Every day we get a little bit more insight into ourselves and into our lives and trying to figure out the craziness of who we are. All of that really matters, and it's worth the hard work. So we need to spend some time in prayer. We need to spend some time really kind of thinking and taking a look and finding that these special days are all around us all the time. You don't have to wait for once a year, for your birthday or your anniversary. Every day can be a special day. Chinese takeout sitting outside in the backyard can be special today. Just about the simple stuff. Find God in the simple. You'll be so glad you did, because that's precisely what He's calling us to recognize and celebrate always, many ways in our lives, and all of the different special days. You've been listening to Religion and Rock. It's hosted by me, Monsignor Jim Vlaun, and it's engineered and produced by the man of many special days, Stephen Sheldon. Have a wonderful week, everyone, and don't forget, say a prayer.
102.3 WBAB.
Alexa, volume 3. All right, thank you. That was Monsignor Jim Vlaun with Religion and Rock. Now what we're going to do is the Monsignor suggests and say a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we'd like to thank you for the Monsignor's message this morning on special days. Help us find those times in our lives, Lord, where we can enjoy those special times with our friends and our family and our loved ones, and help us get stronger in your spirit and in your love. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, so there you have it, folks. Now I have the ball. That's what I typically say after the prayer. I have the ball, meaning that it's my show. And if it's Sunday, it's Sunday sunrise. And, of course, well, in time, we're going to go down to my car Malibu, and we're going to pick up Monsignor's show from the very beginning, that portion that we missed. Yes, we'll hear when you see a chance, Steve Winwood, and, of course, the conversation between the Monsignor and Mr. Sheldon. We didn't hear from Mr. Sheldon today because when I started the program, it was in the middle of the Rolling Stones song, Waiting on a Friend. So we'll pick that one up. In the meantime, well, I think this is Asia, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to find out that. Alexa, volume 7.
Hear from myself now 2 years in the future, and again I'm going to give the retract, and that's the bit you understand. I say this is Asia. I play this great thing, trying to count down Europe. And then yes, I know countries in Europe and the countries in absolutely. And I talk about foreign policy issues. I could do that right now very easily. There are stories on my program, on my list of stories. But here, it points out that Putin ally announces first city Russia will fly its World War.
Alexa, volume 3. Folks, I retract that statement. It is not the band Asia. It is Europe. And so I was wrong. Those are times you just have to come in and say, I was wrong, and apologize for the mistake to both Europe and the band Asia. And, move on from there. Absolutely. That's right. We've done that thing on the program before, talk about something like that. And I do. I was wrong. And then I sometimes do a bit. Sir Elton John, his song, Sorry, seems to be the hardest word. Now, for me, it's not that hard a word.
Yeah, sorry. But still, The one who's really sorry in this whole issue is the Ukrainian people due to Putin's naked aggression. That's right, the dictator Vladimir Putin. Now, this story wasn't going on back there, back in 2020, but now it is. And so, yeah, I'm opening this thing up rapidly because I'm going to guess the next word is 3 if you say World War. Okay, so some supporter of the dictator Vladimir Putin, one of his henchmen, announces First City Russia will strike if World War III starts. These are people, again, they've been beating the war drums over there, and I totally support Ukraine, and that is the position of the United States government. Most people are supporting Ukraine against the dictator Vladimir Putin. We're not going to stand down to Putin at all in this thing, regardless of their threats of worldwide annihilation. Now back to myself 2 years ago.
If I've done something wrong, I apologize to anyone out there who I've wronged. And I just say it. Now, the President of the United States has done a lot of things wrong, and he has not apologized. Has he provided apology yet to Peter? Peter Alexander is a foreign reporter. The President, some time back, I haven't forgotten about it. It didn't happen that long ago. The President, I believe he called him a horrible reporter. You know, you're a horrible reporter, you're a horrible reporter. And then he blasted NBC and NBC's parent, which is Comcast with an M in the middle and not an N. Yes, the President continues to use the term. The President should call the CEO of Comcast with an M in the middle and say, I'm sorry for calling your firm Comcast. I realize you're not trying to con the American people. I was a little on edge, and I won't do it anymore. And then stop using the term Comcast. Stop calling people schoolyard names, whoever they might be, whether it's Mr. Joe Scarborough there, who he calls Psycho Joe, or whether it's his wife, Mika, who he calls Crazy Mika. Stop doing it. Stop spreading conspiracy tales that are not true, demonstrably not true, concerning Morning Joe Scarborough. Now, we've talked about this before on the program. The third-ranking Republican in the House of Representatives, Liz Cheney, she said to the President, please stop tweeting this nonsense about Morning Joe Scarborough being possibly maybe involved in a murder that never happened, ruled by the authorities as natural causes. And the widower of the unfortunate young lady who passed away wrote a letter to Mr. Jack Dorsey of Twitter saying, tear down the President's tweets because they're completely malicious and hurtful to my family and myself. And they said, well, they apologized to the man, who I'm not going to give the name. I know his name. I'm just not going to say it. They apologized to the man and to his family, but said, no, we're not going to tear down the President's tweets. And why is that? Recently, the President is signing a presidential proclamation to go after social networking sites. I suppose things being torn down at the behest of the President of the United States, things he doesn't like, but yet the nonsense that he's putting out there. And, folks, I promise the American people that are fortunate enough to be elected your President, I will not tweet before the American. I definitely will not. I don't have a Twitter account, and I'm not denigrating Twitter, Mr. Dorsey's organization. If you have a Twitter account, that's fine, but I'm sure that you're not putting out there the kind of nonsense that's been put out there by the President of the United States.
Now, I must interject, David, of the past and say that since that time, of course, Mr. Trump kicked off of Twitter because he was unwilling to abide by their standard rules of decorum on Twitter. And so, well, however, Elon Musk is now threatening to buy Twitter. I think that deal might or might not go through. But if it does go through, he has, threatened to allow Mr. Trump come on back into Twitter and tweet again, him and a bunch of other extremists out there. And it's going to be the Wild West once again, as Mr. Musk has threatened, should his purchase go through. Now, again, back to the past.
I'm not going to sit here and read Twitter after Twitter after Twitter of the President. I'm not. I'm just saying he says stuff out there. He says lamestream media. I say mainstream media. And again, call Mr. Alexander, Peter, and say, hi, Peter, this is the President. It's very simple. Just have the White House operator find Peter Alexander. There'll be able to do it. It's probably at NBC. Not today, say Sunday, but maybe he is. I don't have any way of knowing that.
Maybe he's at home.
Call him, get him on the phone, say, hi, Peter, this is the president. I apologize for calling you a horrible reporter. And I'm sure Peter would be very understanding. You say, oh, that's okay, Mr. President, I understand. We've all been under a lot of pressure. And end of thing. And then call the CEO of NBC.
Absolutely.
And then the CEO of Comcast with M in the middle and provide those apologies. But I have not heard the president apologize to anyone for all of the things. And there's been a lot of name calling. We talked about it before on the program. Now, in this age when we do not tolerate bullying in our schools, where kids are being called into the principal's office if they're bullies and calling people names, why would we accept it from the president of the United States in that position? To me, that doesn't seem to be right. And now I'm sure the former vice president of the United States, Mr. Biden, who the president derisively refers to as Sleepy Joe. Now, the president better wake up. As far as I know, Mr. Biden enjoys currently a greater than 10-point lead on the president, and the president's approval ratings are falling as I speak here on this Sunday. And so I don't know if it's Mr. Biden that is sleepy. I do not know the answer to that, but I do know the president ought to wake up. Maybe call Mr. Biden and say, hi, Joe, this is the president. I apologize. I'm not going to call you Sleepy Joe anymore. And I'm sure Mr. Biden's a reasonable man. And he say, oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And perhaps they can settle this dispute. And again, there's so many of these derogatory names that the president uses for people. I don't have a list, folks. Now, someone out there might have a list. They might be compiling a database of that. I don't know who could it be. CNN, the cable news network, Washington Post, New York Times. We do know there's a database. The president's mistruths, if you will, false claims. Why? CNN recently tracked the president's false claims for a 1-month period from May to June, approximately a month. They had him down at 192 false claims covering different subjects, whether it's the coronavirus or whether it's other issues, like the current racial protests going on in the aftermath of the murder of Mr. Floyd out there in Minneapolis. They've been counting them. They came up with 192. Call CNN if you don't believe me. I believe it's the Post, the Washington Post. They say over 18,000 for the entire, term of the Trump administration. From the very beginning, if you understand, 18,000. That's
18,000. Okay, David Williams of the past, just to bring you up to speed, because you had no way of knowing what the final number would be. That final number, according to the Washington Post, 30,573, and they stopped counting on the day that Joe Biden was inaugurated 45th president of the United States. So, again, just to clear that up, folks, if you want that database of dishonest statements said by Trump, false claims, all that stuff, mistruths, contact the Washington Post City Desk. They'll be happy to get it right out to you. Now back to myself in the past.
Seems like a lot. That's a lot of lying. Now, if I'm wrong about that, perhaps I could be, for all I know, it's 19,000 now. I wouldn't know. You'd have to call the person there at the Washington Post that is in charge of the database. They'll give you an accurate, up-to-date number. The number's not going down. It's going up. It's kind of like the national debt ticker that they have. There's like a counter out there. It's going faster and faster and faster. The debt going up. The same, too, with the president's mistruths. And I don't have that database. I do not. So we'll take the break. We'll go down to my car, Malibu, and we'll take it from the beginning of the Monsignor show, Religion and Rock, in just a moment. You're listening to Sunday Sunrise, apartmentkaraoke.com.
Now, just to interject here again from the future, 2022, June, that number, they stopped counting, back January 20th of 2021. And now how many between then and now for Trump? I don't know. I think they stopped counting. I don't know that anyone is doing that at all, but it's been a lot. It's been a bunch of them. since that time. Now back to, well, myself from the past.
All right, folks, David Williams back here on the program. That's the heartbeat of the Tri-County, 100.9 WCDO stereo FM, no static at all. Of course, the great song, Steely Dan, FM. And do you guys remember who the guy was that developed it? It was Armstrong, and I got that from a documentary. Absolutely. One done by Ken Burns, America, and the episode dealing with radio. Talked about Mr. Armstrong. Talked about David Sarnoff, the head of RCA. Certainly did. And Mr. DeForest. And DeForest, the guy that developed the radio tube. And then, of course, Mr. Armstrong came along and improved the radio tube and its functionality and how well it worked. And, of course, David Sarnoff, the head of RCA. In that same program, you'll see Frank Sinatra sing a great song to Mr. Sarnoff. He says, Mr. Sarnoff, in his song, The Champ. That's right. Mr. Sarnoff apparently helpful to the career of Frank Sinatra. And Frank Sinatra is welcome on this program anytime. In fact, just yesterday, he was here with the great song Theme from New York, New York, New York. Start spreading the news. Absolutely. I'm not going to bust into it a cappella by myself. I wouldn't do it without Frankie. I would not. I would not do it in my car. I would not do it in a bar. You know, again, this isn't karaoke, folks, and I'm not going to do the great song New York, New York without Mr. Sinatra. But here's the thing. Let's go ahead and see if we can cycle back. I'm here at the Gulf Station. Yes, I am. And that's where I am, the Gulf Station in upstate New York. I don't tell you the town, but I'm here at the Gulf Station now. We're going to pop into Chrome. We're going to open up Religion and Rock. Got it. All of the Monsignor shows are there. Again, you can go to that particular website, religionandrock.com, and binge listen to as many as you like. This one is called Special Days. We're going to switch to Bluetooth and pick this thing up from the top. Let's see if this will work. Hoping. Monsignor Jim.
Welcome to another edition of Religion and Rock. I'm Monsignor Jim Vlaun, and here is our engineer and our producer, Mr. Stephen Sheldon.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Good. How's everything going?
Everything is going good. Having a good time.
Have you been traveling around still?
Still traveling around. Yeah, we've been busy, so I've been, still in the same areas. Nowhere different or new, but it's nice. Everybody's getting back to work. Things are kind of getting back to a new normal.
We're phasing. Phase 2. Phase 3.
Phase 3.
I love it. You know, the best news is the haircut. Oh, my God, Sheldon. I went to the barber.
You do look happier.
It's such a nice feeling when he chops off like 3 pounds of hair. That's great.
I haven't made it there yet. Mine's not open yet.
It's a good feeling. I just love it. It was wonderful. You know, it's a good time because actually we can start seeing some friends. You know, I don't know if you've seen anybody, but I've been seeing some like my priest buddies a little bit. You know, we're sitting far apart, but but it's still nice to get together and just have a little grill or something like that. It's nice.
No, it is nice. And if that's what it takes, if we have to keep a little bit of distance to get together, then so be it. That's what we got to do. And it is. It's nice to see people again. It's kind of like being away on a long hiatus.
And the other great news is, the churches have opened up again. Yep. So we have this new moment where people are going to church. They can receive communion. So it's a lot of good stuff happening. It's kind of an exciting time. I'm overjoyed about that, And sometimes in our lives, we kind of look to, everyday stuff. But now and then there are these special moments. And special moments are important in our lives. The special days of our life. And even the special days of the world where we get to do the normal things we used to do. So that's what we're looking at on Religion and Rock today. The special days. How we find God in the midst of the joy of the special days of our life. To start us off on that show, it's the Rolling Stones, Waiting on a Friend.
All right, David Williams here. 2022. And if I recall, I believe what I did here was I sang a song. Yeah, I think that's what I did. And of course, in my call Malibu with her, amazing song. Oh yeah.
Rolling Stones, Waiting on a Friend. You know, there are times in our lives where friendship is so critical, and then we kind of move to a new area, we move to a new job, we go to a new school, and the friends kind of change, and that can be a very difficult transition. It's hard for us. I know we just went through a lot of graduations, and all of these young people are in that very same transition. Not everybody goes to the same school, not everybody stays in the same neighborhood, and that's a tough thing. But we ask God to help us through all of those transitions, and that's an important thing, you know. In all of our lives, even in our adult lives, those changes are not easy. I can think about it as a priest when I've moved from one parish to another, even in my residence, from one residence to another. It's not easy because you kind of lose contact with a lot of people, and it's a tough thing sometimes. But part of our lives is that moving on, that moving through, and the gift of friendship that some remain for our entire life, some come in and come out throughout our lives, and all of them, though, regardless, are a gift from God, and we're called to be grateful constantly for the gift of that friendship, and our friendship with God, that is such an important relationship that carries us through it all. Hey, here's Jimmy Buffett. This is called Cheeseburger in Paradise.
There we have it, folks. Monsignor Jim Vlaun, and of course Stephen Sheldon as producer. We've completed the circle. Listen to the entire great song, and sung a little bit, of course, of the great song by the Rolling Stones, Waiting on a Friend. And now, well, we can do pretty much anything. How about take a little drive to the scenic parking area here in upstate New York to another Stones song. I believe this will put us in the letter L. L as in let's spend the night together. By the Stones, let's spend the night together, and of course, in mobile mode. But that'll end this particular part. I do not know if there'll be a part 2 for Sunday Sunrise today, but that was a lot of fun. And thank you very much for listening. I hope you join me next week. If it's Sunday, it's Sunday Sunrise. Bye-bye now.